Welcome to Bass University Live, everybody. Welcome to the show. Oh, there it is. Hope you have your Bass Heads coffee with you, your Anglers coffee. I'm always enjoying mine when we're on the show. And I missed you guys, Riz. I've been on the road for a week. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you back, Pete. It's not the same without you, but thanks for keeping us in the loop and giving us reports down there on Okeechobee. Looked like you and Jake had a time.
We did have a time, and we'll talk. I mean, we're going to dive into that, but Okeechobee is just, man, it's down super low. It's very interesting what's going on down there. Jake and I did a little boat tour, and we had to drive up to the GDP and the Brandon Polinick spot, and just to check it out and make a few casts. We didn't catch any bass there, but we caught a mudfish. So
okay, all right.
Yeah, we were pleased. It's changed a little bit, but it was kind of cool. And we got on to some shad spawn action, some classic Okeechobee Main Lake, pencil reeds and Kissimmee grass stuff, and some alligators too. So
nice.
It was a great adventure. Jake spring break, we had a blast, and we come back and we were out on the Delaware River yesterday, and that's
nice,
rocking and rolling down there too. So, but it's good to be back. Today's going to be a great show. I'm excited to have Elite Series rookie Emil Wagner is going to be on with diving into really blueback herring lakes, the spotted bass. He's really good with that, and we're excited. We're dropping his seminar this week. Is going to be the seasonal patterns for spotted bass. So for all you guys in the Carolinas, Georgia, Tennessee, even on the West Coast that target and love to catch spotted bass, this is going to be a great show and a great seminar this week. So really looking forward to that. And welcome to all the new subscribers to Bass University. Really excited about that. While I was away, man, we had a bunch of new people come on board like we always do, but it seemed like we're hitting our stride, and hope all the new subscribers, hope you're enjoying the show. Welcome to the show. If it's the first time you're watching. Get on to the IM board, ask us some questions there. You can ask questions really wherever you're watching us, on Facebook, YouTube, and on Bass University TV. So go check that stuff out, and we'll pass the questions along. And as a matter of fact, I got to get my IM board up, Riz, because I don't have it up there yet. Yeah, so I like to stalk the questions while the show's going on.
Yes.
But what's new with you, Rich? What's happening on your end of things?
Oh man, well, we're Justin and I were active again this past weekend out on the Upper Bay. I'd call it both pedestrian finishes for both of us, 17.5 pounds, on both, for us. And that right now on the Upper Bay is just not enough. We'll catch up with Justin in a bit about how things went with him. But, on my end of things, Pete, I caught one almost 7 pounds, and, I went ahead and left the area, cause I'm sharp. That's what you do. When you catch one almost 7, you spend 20 more minutes in the area and then just roll and run around like an idiot. But I had 17.5 with a 17 or with a 688 in my bag this past weekend. So, 17.5 looks decent on paper, but when you put a 7-pounder in there, the rest of them really weren't that big. And, it was one of those deals. Just, I had some other stuff going on away from, call it the community holes right now. And the wind conditions and the weather just wasn't optimum for it, but I knew the kind of quality that was on it. So I kept rotating through it. I kept rotating it through like 4 different times throughout the day, and I could never get those fish to fire. So I had to just kind of scrap and fish through the community stuff and get the bites that I could. But another good weekend on the bay as far as the fishing is concerned as a whole. And we expect to have another really good fishing weekend this coming week.
Hopefully. The wind has just been ferocious here, guys. I know it's probably where you are too. Down in Florida, the guys were, because the lake's so low, you got to drive out in the middle of the lake to get around, which is exposes you to some pretty big water. It's 25 miles across the lake, So those guys are, having to deal with the wind every single day. And we are too. We've had, 2 cancellations so far up here, and more than that, I can see by your face. But we've got another one scheduled for Sunday. Jake and I are excited to fish it, but right now they're calling for 10 to 20 out of the southwest. So that's hopefully that forecast, goes away by the time we get around to Saturday, hopefully, because we want to fish, man. We're going anyway. I don't care. We're going to go fishing on Saturday no matter what. But that wind's been ferocious. But down in Florida, we had post-spawn fish, bluegill, and or shad spawn. Then you had the herring spawn going on at South Carolina, and still spawning fish. Almost won that tournament. Up our way, the spawn is just getting rocking and rolling, and then you're going to have up north of us that are still in the pre-spawn mode. So that's kind of what's going on around the country. But what do you got in your hand there, Riz?
ADD fidget, I guess.
I thought you're going to brag on a Beast Coast jig like Jake's been.
No, not really a show and tell, but I mean, hey, this is a dirty jigs, finesse jigs. You can get this one on Tackle Warehouse too. This one's called Sungill Brim or something like that. It's a good little jig, but no real. Just it's in my hand.
I got you. Well, the jig bite's been on. Jake's been busting them on that Beast Coast jig. He loves that thing. Yeah. But it's great time to be fishing, and I think without any further ado, we ought to bring him on if he's back from his boat. Some show and tell stuff. But this is Elite Series rookie. He's really a specialist. Comes from Georgia. Blueback herring lakes and spotted bass are something as showcased by a great top 10 finish at the Elite this past week. It's good to have you with us, Emil Wagner. How you doing, buddy?
Good. I appreciate y'all having me on. I love spotted bass. I love herring lakes. I've been fishing them since I was 12 years old, pretty much. So it's always special when I get to go anywhere, especially for an elite tournament, and get to fish for them. I'm always comfortable. April's probably my least favorite month of the whole year to have to go to one, but it's still super familiar. So I had a great time. I hope we can go later in the year, one of the next years, but I love Lake Hartwell. It's one of my favorite lakes in the country.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was listening to the broadcast, and they said everybody in the tournament caught their limit every day they had available to catch the limit. The day that they
fished. It's chock full of fish. I had two the last day of the tournament, because I had one almost die on me the third day, and it was like one of my small ones. I think the last day I'd thrown back like 10 or 12 keepers, and I only had 2 fish in the boat, because there's just that many fish in there. You you can catch a limit. So even with like 3 hours left, if you still have 2, you can go catch a couple pound-and-a-halfers. But catching fish isn't hard. It's just a matter of finding them over 2 3/4 or 3 pounds.
That's amazing, and it's so rare to have a lake put out that many fish, and you guys crushed it. But I'm just curious, like, why April? Why is April a challenging month on a lake like Hartwell?
It's not necessarily challenging. It's just herring knowledge. It's like when herring fishing plays the least of the whole year, in my opinion. The herring spawn's never really been that good at Lake Hartwell, and you probably noticed that. Like, there was like some bonus kicker fish caught doing it and stuff, but it wasn't like Murray where it was just a dominant pattern, especially to do really good in the tournament. So it ends up kind of being like a spawning event and throwing a worm around rocks for like spawning spotted bass and stuff, and that's fine. But it's just when you're talking about local knowledge, whenever I feel like you get into the spawn, it really doesn't play quite as much. So that was really the only reason I meant that it was tougher for me. But it's still, I mean, it's probably the best time of year to be there to just catch fish, especially if you haven't been there. There's fish everywhere, so it's a fun time of year to fish. It was fun to watch. I mean, the broadcast was like fish catch after fish catch. Oh yeah.
And I just want to get your comments on it. Like, we all watched Drew Cook just camp out on a big 6-pound largemouth and release that male, that 2.5-pound male, to try to go back and catch that fish. Man, what are your thoughts? I mean, that's a tough way to fish. Do you sight fish that way? Do you call yourself?
Yeah, so Hartwell, and I talked to Drew and Benton and some of the other guys who are really good at sight fishing about it. And Hartwell, they leave quicker than I've ever seen in my life. So a lot of the fish those guys were catching, I'd say the vast majority of them were fish they found in the tournament. And I've learned that from it burning me in literally probably 7 or 8 tournaments in April over the years. I go, and every time, day before, 2 days before, you go look for bedfish the whole time. And then tournament day, you're lucky if 1 or 2 or 3 of them are there. And I think it's because they're so keyed on those herring. They get up there and they just do their thing as fast as possible, and they get out of there and get on a point or something.
Right.
But it's yeah, I mean, it's if you're good at it, it's a fun way to fish. But especially as a local, it's hard for me to bed fish in a tournament like that when you know so many herring points and brush piles and rock piles. So I elected to choose the go for the numbers and just catch as many as I could and see if I could cull up to that 17 or 18-pound mark every day, which would have ended up being enough. I think it ended up taking maybe right at 17 a day or so. And yeah, but Drew's obviously an incredible bed fisherman. I mean, we had a no live scope tournament on Lanier last April, very similar time of year, and he did really good, and so did the Johnston brothers and a lot of those guys who are just really good at sight fishing. But I mean, it's hard to do for 4 days in a row, and we saw that. I mean, I was honestly surprised he could do it for 3 days that consistently, but it is not easy to catch those fish for 4 days. They get really weird.
Well, you could see it. Like there was a lot of guys trying to do it, but he was clearly the most successful at doing it. But it was that last hour or two, and you were fishing, so you probably didn't get to see it. It was exciting, because here he is. He's locked up on probably the winning fish.
Yeah, right.
And if he catches it, he wins. If he doesn't catch it, he's not going to win. And
right.
It was fascinating to watch that mental game going on the whole time.
Well, and it's like it's funny because if we don't know what the leaderboard is all day, right? So had I known the weights were going to be that bad the last day I went as far up the Seneca River as you can go to check a herring spawn hole. I mean, massive waste of time that it ended up being, but it was one of those high risk reward things. Then I went back down to the dam, threw a topwater all day, had a bunch of giant bites, but throwing a topwater, you don't always, on a herring lake, they really like coming up and pretty much trying to kill the bait. So sometimes you need a little bit of luck on your side. And I was doing everything I can to try to catch one of those 22 to 23-pound bags, which is possible down there, 100%. You'll see it every day throwing a topwater. But no, I think if he knew that the weights were going to be as low as they were, including myself, probably would have just went and fished for spotted bass all day. He obviously knows how to do that. And including myself, I would have just stuck with the plan that I did the first couple of days. But I really thought I would have needed a straight mega bag to win the tournament. But you could tell the pressure really took a toll on the lake that last day.
Yeah, it definitely did. And I didn't really consider that. Boy, if he'd have switched gears and just went spotted bass fishing, he probably wins that tournament.
Right. But again, that's just how tournaments work. We don't know what the last day is going to bring. It could have easily been like the other days where everyone's got 13 to 16 pounds and you're going to need, a pretty good bag and probably some kickers on bed. That's what you've been doing the whole tournament. So
yeah,
hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah. Well, it was fun to watch him. It was great that you were in the cut, man. That's this your first elite cut?
Yep. Well, first top 10. I made the cut at the St. John's and then finished just outside of it at Pasquotank and a little bit worse at Okeechobee. But yeah, it felt really good, especially to get the year, back on track. Got some really good points in the classic cut now. So I've really the first 3 tournaments, I felt like I was, I've got my YouTube channel going now and had some really, really big opportunities, those events, but I don't know why, it just didn't work out in my favor. And it felt good to get a really solid event under my belt. Like I said, especially in April, because I knew I could have a good tournament going in. I just wasn't sure how good, it would end up being. But it worked out well. I'm excited for the rest of the year. Feel like we've been following the spawn all year, and I don't hate that, but I really prefer when they're post spawn a little later in the summer and they get on cover and rock piles and schools, and I love side scanning all of practice, and it's hard to do that when they're spawning, but
Yeah, sure. Well, you'll see that at the next one. Lake Fork should be
yeah.
well into the summer pattern almost down there.
Yeah, I'm excited for Lake Fork for sure. I went for 2 days after the classic and scanned around, looked around. They were spawning, caught an 8.5, a couple sixes. I mean, there's some huge fish in there, so it's going to be a fun tournament. I've never. That'll definitely be the most heavyweight tournament I assume I've ever been to. So excited for that one, and then actually pretty excited for the Sabine too. I really like grinder events, so that'll be fun. And then the rest of the year, I'm jacked up for it too. We went to St. Clair for an open already, and really like that place. Really like the Mississippi River, and I'm excited for. Honestly, I think the tournament I've been most excited for. I've never even been there, but is 10 Killer, because I feel like there's not too much knowledge in the field there, and it's going to be another one of those just tough, hot grinder events. And my favorite kind of tournament is a middle of the summer hot grind. So I'm pumped up for the rest of the year. Warm weather, shorts, all that stuff.
There's one guy in your group that knows a couple things about 10 Killer. That's for sure. But going back to real quick, Emil, talking about the pressure and like how you could kind of tell that the pressure really set in on Hartwell by the last day. How long does it take for post Elite Series tournament, like after having that much pressure on the lake? How long does it take for you to think that things like kind of reset out on a body?
I think like a week, honestly, because Dude, the last day of that tournament, it was unbelievable how hard they were to catch. I mean, you could line up on, say, a brush pile or a little row of stumps and throw a perfectly rigged Berkeley hitworm out there, sink it perfectly to them, perfect cast, and you see them just nose down to it, and you do everything right, and all you get's like a little bluegill tap or something, and you don't get the bite. And that's running to a really good hole. And like I said, setting up perfectly, doing everything right. Whereas in practice, I mean, you could peel through areas and catch 2.5 to 2 3/4 pounders. Like, it was easy, honestly. But that last day of that tournament, everyone's so good and makes such good casts and fishes all the good spots. So those fish just don't bite that good anymore. Right. And even a lot of those spots that guys were catching were spawning. So many of the females and so many of the fish had been picked off. Like, even if you just threw up on a rock pile and caught one, there's a very, very good chance they were spawning. Like, I was catching spawning spotted bass all the way out into 15 to 16 foot. So
how can you tell that spots are spawning?
Yeah,
like the largemouth, you see on the tail, you see the fan, like all that stuff. But how do you tell with spots?
I mean, it's all out there deep. The only way you can tell is with live scope. I mean, before that, you could tell throwing out there and you get a bunch of short bites, and then you catch a 4-pounder because they'll nip at it. So you can still catch those fish dragging around because they're pretty aggressive. But with scope, like, you throw your shaky head out there, and I was just throwing a 3/16 Berkeley shaky head with a green pumpkin Magnum hitworm on there. That's what I threw at first, and I ended up switching to a general when it got tougher because they were short biting a lot, and that's just a shorter worm. So felt like I was just getting more of the bites.
Like a 5-inch general?
Yeah, 5-inch general. I was just converting more of the bites using that later in the week. But that's my favorite when they're biting good, is that Magnum hitworm. And I was Neko rigging that as well. Caught several on a Neko. And they were spawning on those rocks, and you'd throw in there and you'd see one rise up off the rock, and they'd go down to it, and sometimes they bite at first cast, but then if you didn't get bit, you'd reel in and you'd see that fish just kind of do circles around the rocks. And once you see them go back to the same spot, you pretty much know they're on bed, because in the summer or pre-spawn, when you throw out a fish, if they look at it and don't eat it, they usually either dart off really fast or just swim somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't hang around. They're really smart. They're really pressured. But if you see them going back to the same spot over and over again, even out there in 17, 18 foot, I mean, it's a spot on bed 99% of the time.
That's crazy that they spawn that deep. you know.
Oh yeah, and they spawn all the way into late May, early June over here on Lanier at least. So it's a
Well,
very prolonged spawn.
I guess that's because the water temperature down in 17 feet takes a little while to get up to 60 degrees, I'm guessing.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I've sight fished them too. I've caught them on stumps and 4 foot, with my eyes. But I think the majority of them spawn out there in like 7 to 15.
Okay. So are they, is a spot similar to a small, like when a smallmouth's on the bed, man, you get a bait within 5 feet of that bed and he comes and
Yeah.
gets, you know.
No, they're not. So I talked about that with some buddies. They're not smallmouth dumb on bed, but they're definitely a lot more aggressive than a largemouth. It's kind of like an in between. You know what I mean? Some of them were pretty hard to catch. Like I remember the last day I spent like probably 20 minutes on one to catch it. So it's not always easy. Like you got to rotate through some baits and find something that they'll eat. But they're not like largemouth where they'll just leave the bed for 20 minutes or something like that. So it's kind of an in between.
Okay. Well,
But if they wouldn't eat, I'd always go shaky head first because I could get it right, in the middle of the stump or in the middle of the rocks and not worry about getting hung up. If they wouldn't eat that, I'd go to a Neko rig. And even some of the shallow ones, I say shallow, 7 to 10 foot, I caught them on a wacky worm.
were they're rock oriented spawners. Was that pretty
Any
consistent?
cover out there, honestly, rock and stumps are the main thing.
Okay.
Yeah, rock, stumps, and they'll spawn in shallow brush too.
I got you. And that was your dominant pattern, right?
Yeah. Well, so it was, but what I still spent most of my time doing was topwater fishing because that's how I like to fish over there, and that's how you catch giant ones.
Mhm.
And the second day I caught it was like a 5'10" largemouth on top over brush, and there's so few of them out there. But it's kind of like if you went to like a Kentucky lake right at like while they were still spawning, but they were maybe middle or later part of the spawn. There's going to be a couple tiny groups out there offshore, and that's what I was trying to do. And the final day I saw more than I'd seen the whole tournament, and there was some giant ones out there. So I stuck with it almost the whole time, and we got it on video. I mean, huge ones, 4 to 6 pounders coming up on a topwater, and they knock it sideways and wouldn't get it. But that's
Why?
what I spent most of my time doing because, like I said, that's how I like to fish on a herring lake is call those fish to the surface. But
Why are they
yeah,
so bad about missing it?
it's a combo of it being early they just got out there, and then it's also the pressure. But I mean, it's mostly just the fact that it's a little bit early. Like I had to get pretty sneaky just to get them to come up on a bait, and then you finally would, and then you'd see them, and you'd work so hard to get that to happen, and they would just knock it sideways and not get it. But I mean, I could have very well hooked 2 or 3 of those fish too. You know what I mean? So it's just
God, that
I
has to
didn't
be
land. I did not land a single one of them the last day, and probably had
Wow.
15 big ones blow up on it, and it's just bad luck. But
yeah.
the like I said, the second day I caught a 5.5 on a Berkeley jerk shad, and the first day I caught a good one on it, and yeah, that last day I locked a chrome drift walker and a cane walker, and I was like, if I'm going to do this thing, this is how it's going to go down. If I had to do it over again, I'd probably do the same thing because I had the bites that day to have a 20+ pound bag. But that's even if you go there in June and it's prime, you're still not going to land even half of the fish that blow up on your bait. That's just how it is on those herring lakes. I think they come up and try and stun it or kill it half the time because I've seen them do that to like real herring. So it's just part of the game.
Maddening.
But there wasn't many fish out there is my point. So it's like you couldn't even with missing them, you weren't generating enough bites, to be able to miss them, but still, get enough bites to where you're going to hook up on 20-30% of them. It was a grind just to find a place you could call them up.
Yeah, super early post.
Super early. Like when we had the All-American there, it was in late May, and there was finally some big groups out there. But even then, I probably had like 15 places where it was like truly going down. But there'd be over 100 of them when you pulled up, and it was just mayhem when you got them to go.
That's all. Well, and I guess having that extra competition is going to help you hook up a little bit more.
Yeah. And I started on a herring spawn every morning, the same spot every morning. And I caught a couple on a, on a drift walker. I caught some on a Carolina rig, and I caught some on a Neko fishing really slow, and on a jerk shad. But I don't think I weighed any of them on that herring spawn on the jerk shad. But I did catch a couple of my better weigh-in fish there.
I gotcha. All right, so that you were fishing around the spawn and early post spawn fish. Once you make the cut, man, I guess that it makes perfect sense. You got to and try to get away. I know we're releasing your seminar about taking us through the seasons with spotted bass. We're releasing that this week, which we filmed you at the Classic this year.
Oh yeah.
We're excited about that, but I wanted to, what are these fish doing? What are these spots doing in the pre-spawn? How are they setting up, and what do their patterns look like? Look like maybe last month.
Yeah, so pre-spawn, you're catching them as they're moving out of the ditches and out of the timber. So it's a lot of those like points and brush piles that are really close to where they've spent their whole winter time. Mm-hmm. So I said it in the seminar, but a good ditch really just requires time to find, because a ditch can be anything. Like that's like one of the number one questions I get guiding, especially in the winter. People are like, what makes a good ditch? I'm like, there are millions and millions or maybe not millions, but thousands of ditches on a lake. All a ditch is a hollow area. If it's a pocket without a drain or anything, the middle of that pocket, I still consider that a ditch. So it's a very, very broad term. But it's just a matter of looking at as many of them as you can. And once you've identified where, a really big group is spending their winter time, if you can find like brush or rock leading up to wherever they're spawning, I mean, it can be absolute clockwork. And it's the same baits for me, and they'll be fat and fed up, and they'll weigh a lot more. But a Neko rig and a shaky head. And it's funny, like I've promoted it and said it a bunch on my YouTube and Instagram, and I think people thought I was lying, but now I got to, do it on live. But it's a shaky head and a Neko rig's literally all you need for pre-spawn and freshly post-spawn spotted bass. Are there other things you can mix in and get fancy? Yes, you can catch them on top waters, jerk baits, Demiki rigs. I mean, that's more of a wintertime thing for me. But that shaky head and the Neko, I mean, around isolated cover near where they're going to spawn, that's the deal, pre-spawn and post-spawn.
I love it. The good old shaky head. That's been the most effective spotted bass tool.
Oh yeah.
Since the first time I ever fished for them, like 25 years ago.
Same with the Wiggins brothers. I mean, I don't know what it is about spotted bass, but they just love a freaking shaky head. And it's funny, you don't see it play all that much anymore, other parts of the country, I feel like. Like guys throw it, don't get me wrong. But I feel like the Nekos and, the other fancy, the dice and other like JDM stuff, free rigs, like that stuff's getting more attention now, at least on social media. But dude, a shaky head just gets bit. I caught him on it at the St. John's too, and they wouldn't need anything else. I couldn't catch him on a drop shot, a Neko, nothing.
That's amazing. Yeah, you're right. It's been overshadowed. And it's not being talked about as much, but it's a tremendously effective tool. You showed yours. What's your setup? What's your jig head that you're using?
Yeah. So it's just a 3/16 Berkeley shaky head. And like I said, I throw the Magnum Hitworm and the General on it. And rod wise, I've just got it on this is a Fenwick World Class 7-1 medium. So it's just a standard spinning rod. This is what I throw anytime I'm around like cover or stumps or fishing shallower. And I've got it on MGX, a Xenon MGX 3000 size reel, 8-pound X5 braid to a 10 or 12-pound Trilene 100% fluoro leader. And this rod is what I use for my flukes and my shaky heads, and the 7.2 medium light. It's actually a walleye rod. That's my favorite rod in their whole lineup. I use that for everything else I throw on a spinning rod, and the action on it's incredible.
And okay, and it seems light though for a shaky head. I guess with your braid combination, and well, I don't know. I've never held that rod, but you
no, I mean it's a 7-1 medium, and like I said, when I'm in open water, I'll even throw it on a medium light. But my thing is like, I just wrench on them the whole time. You know what I mean? So you don't really give them a chance to shake or come off. And it seems like with that hook, don't get me wrong, I lose some, but not enough for it to be an issue. So I don't own a single medium heavy spinning rod that I throw. So it's that 7-1 medium. I mean, it's got a good bit of power to it, and it'll penetrate just about any shaky head hook. And even on my jerk shad, I throw it on like a 4/0, worm hook, which is a slightly beefier hook for a spinning rod, and it gets them.
Well, that's the proof's in the pudding, right? The
Yeah.
strike to catch ratio is really all that matters. And as I'm talking to you, I mean, I remember the shaky head being so dominant, and it was in my personal arsenal, it was a big deal. And
Oh yeah.
then the Senko came out, and that's when it kind of got fractured, and people had lost touch with it. But like you said, the Wiggins brothers and
well, and the Cinco, not to cut you off, but the Cinco on the shaky head's a big deal over here. Like, and I'm talking about a Berkeley General for me.
yeah.
But if you put it on a shaky head, it twirls on the fall when you drop it. It goes in a circle. And that used to be all I threw on a shaky head. And now I throw that hit worm a lot as well. But I probably weighed, like I said, the first day I threw that hit worm a lot on it, but I think I weighed the most on the General on the shaky head. There's something about the way it falls. They just love it.
Yeah, it's weird when you put a weight in front of that Senko. It darts. It's erratic, and that matters. That's pretty cool. I'm getting remotivated to pick my shaky heads back up, Riz.
Yeah.
They've been tucked away for too long. All right, where post spawn is coming, right? You're already starting to do it, right? The top water, you're pulling.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's going to be the bluebacks that's going to be the primary deal over the next month or two in that region, right? In the Lake Hartwell region.
Yeah. I think the herring spawn is like, I'd say late May is really the latest. I've done it all the way into like early June, but really like once that water temp gets like mid 70s consistently, most of those fish are getting off a herring spawn and they're getting out there offshore where they're going to spend pretty much up until late October.
Okay.
Early November. So the next month, the herring spawn is going to be really good, but then you're going to be able to top water fish as well, whether that's over brush or just a point that they're set up on, or maybe just outside of a herring spawn. Like they might be up there in 2 feet right off the rip in the morning, but then you can catch them just a hair further out later on. But yeah, that herring spawn, that's going to be a good deal for the next probably 3 weeks. And then after that, it's pure just offshore top waters, magic swimmers, jerk shads, underspins over brush, timber, points and humps that they just like to sit on. I mean, that's my favorite time. And that's what we're going to have from late May, early June, all the way into early November.
That doesn't sound like any fun at all.
No, not at all. I just wish we get more big tournaments that time of year.
Right.
We'd get the most awesome live coverage ever.
That would be amazing to have a pure top water tournament. That'd be fantastic. But,
right. And obviously, the places they get on, that varies, but your overall patterns from late May, early June, all the way into that late October, November, it's going to revolve around calling those fish up.
Okay.
And are there other little patterns off the side that you can catch them on? Sure. But that's like the meat and potatoes of the whole deal, is calling those fish to the surface. And you just have to follow them throughout the summer and figure out where they're going.
For those that, have never seen the herring spawn or really new to it, now I'm going to give my experience on it. Like we have it on Kerr Reservoir up here is really the closest bluebacks that we've seen.
Yeah.
They get on the hard, the herring spawn. They spawn early and they gang up on the hard spots: clay, gravel, rock, and the largemouth and spots will ambush them and just gorge on them. Kind of early in the morning, and then it seems like it goes away when the sun gets a little bit brighter. But
are y'all true bluebacks, or are they like alewives or something?
Well, that's a question I don't really know the answer to. But
okay. No, I was just curious.
They say they're true bluebacks.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, they act like them, and I've been part of some tournaments where we've been on that spawn, and it's just a topwater fest.
Mayhem, yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy just trying to get your rotation down, running point to point or stalking points. I wanted to ask you: are there any sneaky places that the bluebacks might spawn on that maybe some people don't think
Yeah.
about?
Yeah. Shade. So marina walls, bridge pilings, they spawn on those hard. And we saw that when Hallman, won the tour event on Lanier. He was catching them on those walls.
Uh-huh.
And there's not really any of them that are that good on Lake Hartwell because there's just not many marinas that are set up in the right part of the lake. But if
Okay.
you have deep marina walls or even a really deep dock that sticks out further, they'll spawn on those floats. So the floats are a good thing to keep in mind. And then other than that, I mean, it's those long flat points and anywhere, like you said, that's got like a kind of a washed out, really shallow bottom. And it goes for anything on a herring lake. Like I think a lot of guys want to know, like, where can I look at a map and just find the spot? A lot of times you can pick 4 spots and all of them look incredible, but for whatever reason, there's just one of them that they like. And I could sit here and say that there's this perfect science to it, but there's just not. You just have to go out there and fish all of them and put your time in. And if you find a good one, typically that's somewhere they're going to be year after year after year.
Mm.
And when the herring spawn's really kicking, especially if you get some clouds and some wind, you can do it from daylight to dark. You might have slow bite windows, but I've caught them on it smack in the middle of the day, and big ones too.
No kidding. Wow.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Well, let me ask you this, because I learned this fishing Lake Hartwell 25 years ago or whenever it was, and I learned to hold my cast for the blueback spawn, like waiting for the blow up. In other words, if you're fishing,
yeah. So yeah,
by the time they blow up over here, you don't have enough time to reel in and get your bait over there. So I learned to stalk. And do you do that? Is that a strategy that you use where
yeah.
wait for the blow up?
So it's a good question. So the first hour, I'm typically just power fishing for them, hour and a half, 2 hours. Like I just want to catch the ones that want to bite, and I'm on to the next place. But especially on like a sunny, calm day, or even sun with a little bit of wind, if you want to do it later in the day, it's not just gonna be a pull up and chuck my stuff out there and catch them kind of a deal. You're gonna pull up there. You might know where they sit and be able to catch one right there first cast when it's fresh. But after that, if you want to stay there and catch them, usually you just have to wait them out, and it can be painful. But I'm talking sit there with a rod because if they school, a lot of times it's for 5 seconds, and if you're
Yep.
not in them that 5 seconds, you will not get a bite. And even
Mm.
if you land in them while they're schooling, half the time you won't get a bite. So it's like they're so smart. You're almost trying to like trade the bait with them. So like you'll see a herring skipping across the surface, and if he's going left and you hit that herring dead on, by the time your bait landed there, that fish is 10 feet further left. So yeah, you gotta sit there, wait on them, and when you see them, you gotta do everything right. And I screw it up half the time because I get way too excited and just backlash my braid. But if you can do it right, it's pretty fun.
That's so funny. You panic. They come up and you're like,
It's every time. I'm telling you, if they're not schooling, if you're just casting, easy money. The second they come up schooling, you forget everything you know about a bait caster.
yep, you backlash, you hang into your partner's line. I've had it all happen. The ones I remember, one tournament, I held my cast for 45 minutes in the
That's
middle
that's pretty that's pretty impressive.
of a tournament, just watching my watch go around. I'm like, oh my god, this is painful, but it's the way it has to happen, in order to get
Yeah.
there.
And if
It's
you're in a team tournament, what I like to do is like you'll have one guy dragging around because you can catch them dragging on those places, and
yeah,
another guy's waiting. So, but in a solo tournament, you obviously can't do that. But if it's been a while, I'm normally dragging something out there, and then I just try to rip it in as quick as I can if they come up.
yeah. Yeah, it's got to be a high speed reel. We didn't have that advantage. That's got to be
Yeah.
a excellent
Yeah.
tool to one of those 10-to-1 gear ratio reels. You
Oh
can
yeah.
suckers in when you need to.
Yeah, I throw my top waters a lot on that Revo rocket just because you can burn it in so freaking quick.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
That's interesting stuff. So, well, that's awesome. Well, I'm excited, guys. Check it out. If you live around any where tell me this, like where else do spots play a role? I know Georgia, the Carolinas, some Tennessee waters. Where
Yeah.
else do they play a role?
Like where else in the country?
Yeah.
I would honestly, the only place I feel like they play a legitimate role in tournaments would be
Smith.
California and Smith. Yeah, Smith and
Mm-hmm.
Alabama. That's probably my favorite tournament lake in the country. But Smith, in Alabama. Oh, the Coosa River.
Mhm.
But yeah, Coosa River in California. That's the only thing that comes up in my mind. I mean, you have them out there in Texas and even, some different areas. Like we went to Eufaula, Oklahoma. There were spots in there, but they're
Yeah.
still not like you're not chasing them to win the tournament or top 10 or anything like that. But yeah, all our herring lakes. I mean, Lanier's incredible. You don't even chase largemouth here. The spots are just huge. And yeah, they play pretty much everywhere else. Even Clarks Hill, they're starting to get big in there. They've kind of been, I guess, populating themselves in there the last couple of years, and you're finally starting to see some 3 and 4 pounders. But Hartwell's got a lot of spots over 4 pounds too. They just, for whatever reason, this last week they didn't show up all that good. But yeah,
No. Well, I've seen on Pickwick, like the Bay Springs area can put
yeah,
out.
fair. Yeah, I've been to Bay Springs. It's got some nice ones.
Yeah. Yeah. They catch 25-pound bags of spots there sometimes, or
Yep.
that's freaking amazing. But
Yeah, I wish they played everywhere. Trust me.
I can appreciate that. Well,
Yeah.
let's look forward to this release coming up on Thursday, guys. You're gonna, if you live in any of these areas, and whether they win tournaments or not, if you've got spotted bass in your lake, they're a lot of fun to catch. They're pretty
Oh yeah.
aggressive, and you're gonna want to check that out. But I want to take a step back a little bit with you because I was looking up your some of your statistics, and you're one of the anglers, I guess, one of the modern anglers that have come through the high school and college programs in fishing, and it's pretty exciting to see that. I know my son's going through that now, so I'm going through that now, and
Yeah.
take me back to that. Like, take me back to the high school programs. I saw you fish some of the Bassmaster high school events.
Oh yeah.
Got started. Did you get started before that?
Yeah. So no, I've always fished before that. So I fished my whole life, like whether it's for like bluegill or catfish or whatever. And
Yeah.
I always just like being in nature, like even like catching lizards and stuff. Like I was just always doing something outdoors. And in middle school, me and my buddy William, we'd fish out of his canoe like every weekend. We'd take it everywhere, rivers and ponds, and we had a little trolling motor on the back, and we just got pretty obsessed with bass fishing. And I've always been really, really competitive. So once I realized I loved bass fishing that much, we're going into high school, and high school fishing had kind of just, I wouldn't even call it taken off, but when I was, because I'm 27 now, so I guess I was 14 or 15 when I got into high school, and it was kind of just, getting a little bit popular, and I was like, well, let's just start a team here. We didn't have one, and started the team at my high school, and we fished all 4 years of high school, and I feel like that's like where I learned how to fish, you know what I mean? Like just like seasonal patterns and just like how to make decisions in tournaments. Like that was like 100% my framework for everything. And it's part of what made me love it as much as I do now. And yeah, we fished all 4 years of high school. I actually had some really good tournaments, and my dad doesn't bass fish at all. Nobody in my family does. My partner's dad, they might have caught a couple bass, but they didn't really know anything about it. So we were just figuring this stuff out on our own. And I really think that helped me out in the long run. And then in college, I didn't fish as much. Like I fished all the time still, but I didn't do the college tournaments as much. But
Hmm.
there was one year we did all of them, and we actually almost won team of the year, and had a good national championship. And then I still fished a bunch of BFLs and local tournaments when I was in college. And then after that, I actually had a desk job for a little bit with Pure Fishing, and enjoyed it, but I realized very quickly that I cannot be in front of a laptop for 8 hours a day. It's just not how I'm wired. And I've been wanting to start a guide service my whole life. So started a guide service, and I got really fortunate. It took off right away. And I pretty much anytime I'm home, even if I'm home for 4 or 5 days, I can guide every day. So I guide full time when I can. And then that allows me to pay for the tournament trails and everything else. And I had a couple really good years with MLF, and that helped fund, the opens and doing everything else I wanted to do. But dude, I love it. I love everything about it. It's a lot of hard work, but I get to fish every day, and there's nothing else I'd rather do. I'm honestly, sometimes I take a step back and I'm just like, dang, I did, in college or high school, I would have never thought it would work out this way, but I'm enjoying it. It's a grind, but I like it.
Where do you got?
I got on Lanier, Hartwell, and Alatoona, but 90% of my trips are on Lanier.
I got you. If somebody wants to go out with you on Lanier, how do they connect with you?
Yeah. So honestly, the easiest way is just through social media. So Instagram or Facebook, it's just Emil Wagner Fishing. And my phone number is just 404-775-0462. If any of you guys want to get on a trip. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to do many here the start of the year. I feel bad. I want to take everyone out, but it's just with the elites, and I'm even fishing invitationals and Toyotas and BFLs. This is kind of the bulk of our tournament season, but once June or July hits, I'll be home and I'll be able to do some trips. I'm already booked a bunch for the summer, so that's also like the funnest time to be there. But summer, fall, and winter, those are my best times. So get with me, and we have a blast out there. I mean, I love seeing people get on their first like topwater spotted bass because you've seen it. I mean, it's got to be one of the most fun ways to catch a bass. It's like saltwater fishing out there, and they go bananas on it. So if you guys ever want to get out, Lanier is incredible. And man, if you never caught a spot over 4 pounds, we'll have a pretty good shot.
Lanier in the summer. I want to ask because we were talking about this with somebody else. Boat traffic crazy out there.
Oh yeah.
But somebody I was talking to was saying it actually there's patterns around that. Like when the boat traffic gets really hot, the bite can be even better.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like it used to be like that, but to be perfectly honest with you, it seems like it messes them up now.
Okay.
Really, the deal on the weekends when it's tough like that is just trying to outwork everyone else. So you just got to keep running and running and running, and your bites go down, and everything kind of goes down. You know what I mean? Your percentages. But if you just keep getting after it, you will get some big bites. Now, I have seen you'll be fishing somewhere and a big giant cruiser will come by, and there is times when that'll make them school or something. But the bite on a weekday is far, far better than on the weekends. Like it's night and day. You go out on like a Wednesday in June or July when they're pulling some water and the traffic's not real bad. It's really fun.
Man, that sounds awesome. We were fortunate enough to be down there with the folks from Humminbird recently.
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, it's that was pretty awesome lake. It's been a while since I've been there, and I have not been able to be there since the big spots have really come on. So it was nice.
You catch some good ones?
We did. We caught some. It was a little bit challenging.
They were very hard to catch. I'll just say it.
No, they are, man. They are. And I've said this time and time again, Lanier, they're smarter than any other herring lake by far, but the size makes up for it. But yeah, they're incredibly smart. And I think I touched on it in the podcast in the seminar we did, but it's all about just doing the little things right, the minute things, the perfect cast, not getting off pad too late and stirring up a spot or timing everything right, looking over there and realizing there's a boat on that hole and you need to give that another hour, or the wind's hitting a little more on that bank, they're going to bite better over. Like all those little things you have to dial in on a lake like that because there's a ton of fish in it, but they're incredibly hard to catch. So you have to pay attention to all that stuff.
Yep. We were also a little bit hindered. I think we had like 80-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
Yeah.
During that trip, but beautiful lake. So that's awesome that you're able to get out there so much, and it's awesome you're back in classic contention now after this amazing finish. You've got
thank you.
A couple bodies of water that you're really looking forward to. Anyone stand out?
St. Clair, I love that place, man. We went for the open and I started to understand where they set up, and there was like some groups and little areas that just had bigger than average fish, and they were not that hard to catch, and it was just fun. But other than that, really looking forward to 10 Killer. Like I said, I've never been there, but I did some map study on it and I looked at it, and sounds like it's going to be a grinder, and those are the kind of tournaments I like. So I'm actually really excited for that one. But I get pretty excited for all the tournaments. You know what I mean? Like I feel like a lot of times you end up doing well where you don't necessarily expect it. So I'm really pumped for all of them. Even Mississippi River, I was one spot shy of a top 10 there in the Open, and that was somewhere I thought, just because I have such limited river experience, I was like, this is gonna be really tricky, and it was. But I ended up figuring out some fish over there way up in a creek, and I just got to slow down and fish and caught so many bass. It was just a matter of finding some over 3 pounds. But I'm pumped for the whole rest of the year. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a Toyota or a BFL or an Elite Series. I love fishing tournaments.
I do too.
Emil, we got a question from a subscriber on our board here. I wanted to throw it at you.
I can't see any of that stuff either. So if there was a bunch, I'd answer all of them.
SCB on the Bass University page. He has a 2-day tournament in August at Lake Hartwell. He's running a bass tracker that doesn't handle the big water very well. Do you have any recommendations up the Tougaloo close to Gumlog Creek?
Yeah. So that's actually, we've got a house up there, and it's in the way back of the Tougaloo. So I've fished back there a decent bit. But late in the summer like that, you really have 2 options, in my opinion, to do good in a tournament. The first one's running and gunning, brush piles, timber, rock piles, all that stuff, doing the top water deal, the flukes, all that. And, if you're trying to avoid that, which I think he's kind of hinting at with his question, your other option, which you can blow a tournament out of the water with, but you can also very easily catch nothing, is the brim beds and the cruisers. And back in the Tougaloo, that's a great place to do that. And the best way to practice for that is to put your trolling motor on 10. And I really like a Crockett Gator buzz bait. You can throw just a regular toad style bait, and the lead a popper really good too. But it's all top water for me. I'm burning down the bank, and once you see, you'll see those brim beds. They look like craters, and you'll be going down the bank, get to the back of a pocket, and all of a sudden you'll see 6 to 20 giant largemouth just come out of nowhere. And if you make the right cast, I mean, they'll destroy whatever you throw at them. And they're usually on a bluegill bed, but sometimes they are just wolf packing down the bank. So if I was you back in the Tougaloo, I would try to find areas where they're wolf packing, or find pockets where there's a really good bluegill bed. And if you have a good bluegill bed, be really stealthy when you pull up on it, and just make sure, you're taking your time and making really good casts to it. And if, say, you're out of bluegill beds, or that's not working out, find the kind of pockets they're wolf packing in. It's usually shorter little cuts off the main river, and just pick up whatever moving topwater bait you have the most confidence in, and cover water and keep your eyes peeled. Because if you see them coming down the bank late in the summer like that, you can catch them. It's not like in the spring. You see a cruiser this time of year, he's not going to bite 99% of the time. But you see one in August, and if there's a wolf pack of them, lead them by 5 or 6 feet, and I mean, they'll destroy it. It's fun.
I want to enter that tournament.
Come on.
That sounds amazing. We're a ways.
Yeah, don't get me wrong though, it's a grind. Like, it's not like you're just going down the bank and catching them, but you will get some really big bites.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Well, man, what an awesome way to fish. It's going to be topwater season all summer long. Man, that sounds amazing. I know we're
ready for it.
See it a little bit our way too. We see it in the form of frog fishing a lot on the grass where we fish. Yeah, it's coming for us too. But man, it's awesome. Congratulations on a great finish, and
thank you.
Appreciate you being part of Bass U. I see Rich holding his. Rich.
Yeah, well, we can't let him go quite yet, because between you and Emil, we probably have the 2 greatest in-tournament fall-ins in history.
I know. Mine doesn't top. No one will ever top Pete, but it was pretty good.
It's close, man. I mean, I like that. That step into nowhere. You took that step and kind of went on ahead, and it just happened. You handled it like a pro, though. I mean, I got to give you kudos on that. Did you have anything in your pockets when you fell in?
No. So that was the.
I'm good. Oh, that's a great GoPro clip.
Then I get
your flip-flops. Okay, I'll get it. The first time I've been tournament fishing for 15 years. You got your phone and wallet and nothing. Oh my God. Hey.
Yeah, they got me on that one. But no, man, I don't know. It's funny you do something like that, and you had a good excuse because your trolling motor cable broke. But mine, like, I don't know. I literally just stepped into thin air. Like, my trolling motor cable like slid in front of my graphs, and so I had to like step over to grab it, which I've done a million times. But I don't know. I just went in. But it honestly felt pretty good. Like, it was right at the end of the day, and like the water was like cold, but not like freezing. So it was pretty nice. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think anyone will ever top yours, Pete. That was pretty great.
Well,
yeah, we need to get a compilation.
Oh my Lord.
Oh my God.
That's so great.
They look for
and you top 10 that one, so I think we just need to start falling in every time.
Maybe that's a recipe. I didn't think of it. Just come right out of the gate, fall in the water, and see what happens.
I'm gonna find somewhere on Fork with no timber and go ahead and fall in.
I was where I fell in. There was a lot of nastiness around, like barge pilings, and I could have impaled myself had things. So I got away with one there.
You still take the number one spot there. It's gonna take some serious. I don't even know what to top that, but
I appreciate even being in the conversation, man. That's good. Welcome to the club. There's a bunch of us going now, so that's all. I appreciate you bringing that back to my attention, Rich. We didn't want to miss that.
Yeah, when I checked in on the third day when they played it on live, I opened my phone and there was no like, did you catch them? How'd it go? It was all just like, I can't stop laughing. Oh my God, ha ha ha. I was like, what the hell is this about? And then I opened Instagram. I'm like, oh, great.
That's funny. I had the same experience. My phone was on vibrate, and I thought something was wrong with my boat because it was like my boat kept vibrating. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And that was everybody just laughing at me, through text.
You just gotta make fun of it. Who cares? Whatever.
Yeah. For me, it was great. It was refreshing too, man. It was like 90 degrees out. The water was 90 degrees, so that was good stuff, man. Well, good deal. Man, so awesome. Like I said, welcome to the club. Wish you the best of luck. This next, I gotta say, JH Justin is beating me up, beating us all up on fantasy fishing. So, what tournament should I be picking you?
God, I can't do that.
We need an inside track. Justin's got like 400-point lead on me right now.
But if I say that, then I'm like guaranteed to suck in the tournament.
Well, I'm sure that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I can't. I'm too superstitious to give you one. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Well, we'll be pulling for you, and best of luck. And I want to thank you for being part of the program. Thanks for doing
anytime
university seminar. We're really excited about that being that release coming up this week. So, so thanks for that, and we will see you. We'll be rooting for you out on tour. Good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you. Yeah, and if y'all are ever down my way, maybe we can get out on the lake or something.
Top water season, baby. We're going, Riz.
Come on.
All right.
We'll do it. No, thank you guys for having me on. Like I said, I'll do it anytime. I always enjoy these. So
thanks,
I appreciate it. And I hope everyone enjoys the seminar we did. I think I put a lot of good stuff in there. So if you're ever coming to a spotted bass lake and need a good roadmap on how to catch them, it'll help you out a lot.
Excellent. It's a great seminar, and I appreciate that. Emil Wagner, everybody. Thanks, buddy.
Yep, no problem. See you guys.
All right. That was funny, Rich. I totally forgot about that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Our producer back there, JH, he wasn't going to let that one slip on by.
Yep.
We had it in mind, but he, pinged me, said, "Hey, don't let Emil go yet. We got one more topic to cover."
I understood. Well, we're going to back. That was awesome, and I had seen that and I had forgotten about it, so that was really cool. But I want to. We're going to come back and talk a little bit about some tools that were really effective. We had a big trip on Okeechobee. I want to talk about some Florida fishing and some other really cool stuff at Bass U. So we'll be right back after this.
We're off the clock to clock more fish, to fill our live wells and empty our coolers, because there's more to explore. The latest Humminbird fish finders work fast, see clearly, and know all the best spots. They fish even smarter paired with the Minn Kota, and break down the water like never before. If you like your plans loose and lines tight, then it's time to explore. Only with Humminbird. Get right to the fight. New Mega Live 2 forward-facing sonar puts you on more fish with an ultra-clear, rock-solid picture of underwater action. Next-gen clarity, next-level fun. Only with Humminbird.
Right here, AquaView, mandatory equipment in my boat. I say it all the time. The smallmouths hide in the cracks in the rocks, and just saw a little bit of the same kind of rock with the cracks in it. And I realized that I had to put a bait down there. You wouldn't, idle over them and see them on your screen. You had to put a bait down there and suck them out of the rock. So, AquaView, big assist on this one.
And outdoors Bassmaster Classic champion,
Coffee. The angler's ritual. A reason to leave your cozy covers, even if you aren't headed to the river. We started Angler's Coffee because, well, we love to fish, we love coffee, and we care. Think of it as the rise before the rise.
A challenge. The original Element rods were really Cashin's first launch, kind of in a price point level. With that, we got a lot of feedback.
And that's what brought about the Element Z2 and its launch. The most affordable American-made rod on the market.
Mother Nature may be tough. I'm tougher. I'll take you where chaos is the cost of entry and where the fish are worth the fight. Because the bigger the question marks, the better the quest.
Welcome back to Bass University Live. We're thankful that we were able to have Emil on. He's a great angler, great instructor. We're going to be releasing his seminar this week, JH, and I think it's a really good one, man. It's you can always tell when a guy's confident about what he's teaching.
Yeah, Emil's definitely dialed in on the spotted dogs. That seminar was definitely a good one. I enjoyed listening to it myself because I know nothing about spotted bass fishing besides the one day me and you, or a couple days me and you spent on Hartwell. With Jeff Olson. Shout out Jeff Olson.
Shout out Jeff
Brando, man. Shout out Brando too.
Yeah, that was good stuff, man. He's off to quite a fiery little career. So
yeah,
that's pretty good.
A lot of people saw it coming too.
Yep.
I mean, it's the rookie class every year, man. It seems like these rookies coming in. I mean, Tucker Smith, I've picked him in fantasy like almost every tournament. He's just that kid just catches them no matter where he goes, man.
He looked
Paul Marks on the tournament. He's a rookie. It's crazy.
Tucker got a lot of airtime on this last tournament as well, and I just watching him, the ease with which he fished was pretty impressive. I was watching him using forward facing too, picking fish off the bottom that were really hard to discern. You know what I mean? They looked like little bumps. They looked like little, and he was targeting them and targeting and catching them, down to 20, 25 feet or more. That was pretty slick, but just doing it with such ease, looked pretty good. But we had a big trip down to Okeechobee. I want to talk to you about that because there's a couple baits that were just amazing. I want to talk about topwater. Here it is. This is the original Whopper Plopper in bone. and Jake and I were down. We were fishing in the Kissimmee River, and the shad spawn was going on, and it was the most amazing thing. We, the white birds that are, they're like some type of heron or crane, eating birds, and they would stack up on the shoreline where these shad were spawning. And you would wherever they were, you just go, you shut your boat down before you got, and just run down the bank and throw this up on the bank in the dirt. And by the time it would get to be about 6 to 12 inches deep, it would a fish would just shark it, just blast it out of the water. And it was so much fun for about an hour, almost for 60 straight minutes. Jake and I caught a fish, or at least had a bite on every single cast.
Wow.
Around the shad spawn, fish that were roughly 2 to about 4.5 pounds. And yeah, that was awesome. The other bait that was really effective in that same zone was we were using a spinner bait. And of course we're in Florida, so we got to use the Gambler swim baits, and this is the Big Easy, but it's the shorter version. The name's actually off of this package, but the big long trailer on the spinner bait was helpful. Those shad were like 4 inches long, and you just wake it as fast as you can, that spinner bait, and they were just collapsing on it, and it was needlefish, gar, bass, shad, and birds, and gators. It was the coolest thing. The gators, like, they all position themselves looking at the shoreline. Like the birds are on the shoreline looking out, and the gators are looking in. And the birds are trying to eat the shad, the bass are trying to eat the shad, and the gators are trying to eat the bass. So their gators are just, stalking all the predators, the gar, the needlefish, and the bass. And what a cool thing. And then when the sun breaks the horizon, light switch, gone. It's over. Like the shad stop doing the spawn, they back off. You can still catch them, like Emil was talking about, like throwing we were throwing Senkos, we were throwing catch them doing that, but generally it just goes away, and then it's completely gone. But man, when it's on, it was some of the most exciting fish that you could ever have. And one of the other cool things was the this cleanup crawl used to put out. We were punching mats. I was teaching Jake how to punch hyacinth mats with ounce and a quarter weights.
Nice.
And he caught his biggest fish of the week doing that. Yeah, which was really cool, man. Like braided line, you feel that thump, load that rod up, and the fish is digging, and then sooner or later you get his face up, and then he jumps out of the mat, and you drag him over the mat. It's really, really cool stuff. So,
for sure,
that was our Florida trip. We did a little bit of the other thing to talk about there, and it's important because we've had Scott Martin on, and the folks down there talking about Save Lake Okeechobee, and the water level has been really, really high, and that has deterred the grass growth. And we saw that for the elite tournament. Like, a lot of the guys that did really well were all up in the rivers and the canals, and because there's not a lot of vegetation on the lake, so as a result there's not a lot of clear water pockets like there normally is. So they've drawn the lake down with intent to let the grass grow. They're trying to get that, all the various submergent vegetation rekindled on all those big flats. So the lake was super low. So we had to drive out and around, and I had to get in with the gators and push the boat. Yeah. We got stuck on the shallows, times, because out on the lake, what was going on down there. And this is really cool because all these patterns that are happening there now are going to be happening, in the Carolinas and up our way here in a month or two. But the bluegill spawn is in wide open down right now, and they're big are up stalking the bluegill beds, and we were catching them flipping that cleanup crawl. And we were also catching them on chatterbaits, up in the Kissimmee grass and the pencil reeds. But one of the things that was really cool down there, and I've seen this in Florida a bunch of times, is the pencil reeds were the deal. Like that's what the bass were using. There's thick Kissimmee grass patches.
Yep.
And there's these pencil reed sections, and where the pencil reeds would be exposed, like have a little bit of open water and anywhere nearby it. That's where the predators were stalking. And it was so consistent. You could call your shots just running around to the pencil reeds. Throwing the chatterbait and flipping them.
That's fun. Pencils, baby.
Yeah, they're tough. We had to learn that, teaching a young man how to flip and pitch and chatterbait around vegetation that does not give,
Right.
Like you get hung up and you got to go in and get it. You got to learn to feather your baits through that stuff. And, it was good. Really wonderful deal. Shout out to my friend Tim Roach, former Bass top 150 qualifier and competitor here in New Jersey, who hosted us at his house down there on the canals off of Taylor Creek. So, shout out, that was and Donnie Tomlin also that is a former Jersey guy that I really he lives down there now, and he's connected us to patterns that were taking place down there and saved us a little time and energy and effort and getting things going. But had a blast. Come back to the Delaware, and they're all pre-spawn, just starting to spawn around here. So what's going on down at the Chesapeake? Has the spawns started down there? It's got to be started down there, right?
There's already post-spawn fish, Pete. Can you believe that?
No, I don't believe that. Come on.
I weighed in one on Saturday that looked like a gator took a bite out of its tail, and it was hollow.
Wow. Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess I'm not surprised. I know it's true, but it's just been such an early season down there, where fish have taken those flats earlier than I've ever seen them take them. And post-spawn fish already. Wow, that's crazy talk, guys.
I'm not saying there's a lot, but there definitely are. There's fish done.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. Justin had a lot more bites than I did Saturday. He can probably give you a better indication on what most of his fish seemed to be, what phase they were in.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, especially on the Chesapeake, it's always, the waves of the spawn is so drawn out compared to like say like a lake or something like that. I mean, I caught a post-spawn fish myself on Saturday, and just beat up, But I think they'll be spawning all the way until the end of May. You know what I mean? I feel like it's always been very prolonged spawn on the Chesapeake with different waves of fish. But there's bites to be had, and it's coming into my favorite time of year, coming right now. It's started. So I feel like Saturday, Rich, I had a moment when we were in the disaster of loading up our boats after the weigh-in. Just that day, it just crossed my mind. It was like, so you want to be a bass fisherman, like
you're sitting
howling. It was howling, man.
I'm walking chest deep into the water to pull a log off of the ramp, and it's like all for a club tournament.
Yep. I mean, it was blowing. It was howling out there in the morning. It it was tough to fish. I had the same thing as you, Rich. I picked up the trolling motor 5 times too many on Saturday, and I even said in my head, I'm like, what am I doing? This is not how I fish, you know? And but that wind and just, you know, had me wanting to try different stuff. I couldn't settle in on the stuff I wanted to fish, and then it started pouring down rain as I'm coming in, and it got all real nice at weigh-in, Pete. Sun came out. I'm like, man, it got
Everybody's
hot.
taking their bibs
Rich was
off.
like,
Man,
get ready, it's about to pour. And we're loading up the boats, and it started pouring, and a freaking 10-foot log went up on the boat ramp, blocking Rich's trailer. So he had to get in the water and carry this log out. It's freaking pouring and thundering, the wind's blowing, and yeah, we got the boats on the trailer. It was a good day, man. I shout out the quest. If I didn't have that quest, man, I would have been in trouble. I'll tell you what. On Saturday, that thing kept me locked in. But
I mean, go to quest, go.
That tell you what, that was a killer. That makes such a good point, because I was out on Sunday with Jake, and it was sustained 20-mile-an-hour winds blowing.
Yeah.
It was ferocious on Sunday, and I showed you guys the pictures where the water had gone so far out we couldn't launch. We had an alternate launch ramp, and but yeah, I was telling Jake that, like, it's unbelievable with the motor that we have and the technology that you can go out and fish in those conditions, and it's almost comfortable, you know?
Yeah. I should have driving out in the morning. I'm thinking, man, this is the one day I could have actually wanted my seat in the boat just so I could lean back on it. Cause I had 3 or 4 times I had happy feet going on. I thought I might have been going in the drink, but yeah, it was
rough. I had a little Corey Johnston going on at midday. I started getting motion sickness, Pete. I swear, I was so far out on the flat, and I was looking at my screens so much that, like, when I would lift my head up, I would become like immediately disoriented.
Wow.
Like I started to feel like the equilibrium thing going on, because I mean, it was, you know, it was rough. Like, it was there was 2 to 3 foot rollers on a lot of stuff, and you combine that with keeping your eyes one eye looking at one screen, one eye looking at the other screen, trying to stay lined up on your stuff, and like,
that staring at that sonar screen and the waves, man, like we do these days, man, that makes it way worse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully we get to fish this weekend. It's just the weather patterns are really not favoring, because of the you know, it's the cycle. It's like every 7 days the wind blows, it seems, and we're going to get it again on the weekend. Hopefully, hopefully it downgrades and we get to get out there and do some fishing. But
well, they're backing off the rain. They're backing off the wind. They've brought both Friday and Saturday down to 10 to 15. So
yeah, it's looking good right now.
10 to 15 is a big difference than 15 to 25.
Sure is.
Yep. Well, hopefully that happens. Is Jocelyn with us? JH, Jocelyn, you there? I want to congratulate Jocelyn. Hi, Joss. I want to congratulate Jocelyn for her 3rd place status in the Bassmaster or the Bass University Fantasy Fishing.
Come on, man. We don't congratulate losers. What are we doing here?
That's only because Rich didn't put in his picks.
I put my picks in my mind.
Okay. How'd they do?
6 for 6. I mean,
yeah, right down the line.
Yeah, right down the line. And if Emil wasn't in the top 6, I plugged him into.
I had Emil on my fantasy team.
Good.
So yeah, and Wesley Gore, man, what a pick for me. Tough start to the year. Top 10 for him.
Yeah.
J-Dog top 10. I mean, on going into day 3, Pete, I had 4 of my 5 guys in the top 10. I know you were getting a little worried there.
I know. I got 2 that made it in the cut. So,
I texted Justin because there was someone that I don't even know who I picked, and I was like, "Who is this?" I didn't mean to pick him.
Well, it did.
Oh, did we lose Pete?
Pete's frozen. Got a phone call.
Frozen.
Donnie Tomlin's calling him, updating him on the current patterns on Lake.
Well, while we're waiting for PG to unfreeze, just want to give a quick shout out to Nick Mayberry, who's actually our sub of the week. Tim G, David Galt. We'll just rip through sub of the week real quick. Where's my pick? Shout out Nick. Nice bass. Nice hat, brother. So shout out Nick. And shout out Aaron Parker, Nathan, and Frank and Tim, everybody watching on the different platforms over there. Pete's down and out, so it's just us guys.
Pete's down and out. Is there anything left we haven't covered? What's our current promotion?
We got a 6-month offer going on.
Okay.
50 days for $1.
50 days for $1. You can't beat that. And guys, as always, please support the companies that support us. That's what keeps us coming back to you live every single week. Everybody like Angler's Coffee, Aquaview, Humminbird Minn Kota, Cash and Rods. Help me out, guys. Who am I missing here?
Humminbird Minn Kota.
Passion. Aquaview.
Oh, we are adding a new member benefit to our member benefits page. So check out.
Who's that going to be?
TH Marine.
TH Marine. It sounds like that they're going to be able to. You guys are going to be able to save some money on your TH Marine stuff. Harold Howie Range. I got a little Baltimore accent kicked in right there.
I wonder why.
He said, "Did Pete flip out of his chair?" And I'm going to answer that and say yes. He must have been trying to pull the trolling motor cord up from his computer chair, and he flipped out, so he lost us. But I think that's.
Wait, is Lake Fork? Does Lake Fork start this week?
Lake Fork starts next week.
Next week.
Shout out to Jeff Olson and shout out to Stephen Walden. Steph, I don't know if you're still watching. Thanks for heading down to Lanier for us and speaking the word of the Bass U, and anybody that signed up with Stephen down there on Lake Hartwell. We're glad to have you back in the mix. And look, Pete, we have Pete back in the mix. There he is.
I'm back in the boat.
Harold Howie Range thought you fell out of your computer chair pulling your trolling motor cord.
I don't know what happened there, but man, I was blocked. It was not back in. But it's good to be back. It's good to, I'm really glad that we got Emil on the show. It was great to talk to him. Looking forward to his seminar release this year, or this Thursday. Want to invite you guys, if you haven't subscribed to Bass University, get over there and get yourself subscribed right now. We've got a great 6-month subscription offer available for you guys right now. And we are going to be up with the Pure Fishing folks in June, doing some filming on Lake Champlain. So look forward to working with those folks as usual, and some of the amazing pros on the Pure Fishing pro staff. So we look forward to that.
Champlain in June. That don't sound fun.
No, that's going to be something else. That'll be post-spawn, spawning, smallmouth. Who knows what we got going on?
Are you guys going to drive up there?
Yep.
You're bringing your boat, Pete?
I got to work that out, but man, I'm thinking of bringing my boat and putting a few days in after the event.
That'd be a good use of your time.
Yep. I miss Champlain. I haven't been up there for a few years, so I'm looking forward to that.
Were you up there last year?
Yeah, we all were. Yep, we were there together.
Were we up?
It feels like a few years.
It feels like a few years. That was a disastrous tournament last year.
Oh God. Yeah, you had 6 fish in your bag, Lake Champlain. How can you forget
maybe that's why I don't remember it. I'm trying to forget it.
He blocked it out.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, I'm going to get off the air before I say something else stupid.
All right.
Hey, thanks for watching, guys. We're going to be back next week in another episode of Bass University Live, where I will step on my tongue yet again. So you don't want to miss that. Hope you guys have a great week. Get out and enjoy this fishing, man. It's amazing right now. All over the country is exploded, post-spawn, spawn, even pre-spawn up north. So get out there and have some fun, enjoy the fishing, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week on Bass University Live.
Bye.